Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the sixth episode of the Roblox UI library scripting tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the controls such as the button, the labels, the slider, and all the others. I'm going to be showing you how to set up states and handle the logic for all of these. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So last time we stopped here at the tab. We're just going to go all the way down below the logic before we return the tab, and we're gonna do function tab button, and this already indicates that it's going to create the button. We're gonna pass the options parameter, and just like last time, copy paste this into here so we have our parameter handling. Now for this, I'm gonna remove the icon since we won't be needing this, and I'm gonna put in callback as a default to just nothing. Okay, so now that we have our options, we're gonna create a table called button, or actually button like this, capitalized. Why am I making it a function? Local. Okay, and in the end, we're gonna be returning the button. So this button is going to have two states: hover and mouse down. So obviously hover is going to be for when we hover over the button, the same as the tab buttons, and mouse down is going to be for when we are holding or left click on the button. So this will be crucial for state handling. So now we're gonna go over to our main script here, and we're gonna copy everything that creates the button and just make it the render to and paste it in. Now first we're going to change this to tab since we're parenting it to the current tab, and we're going to change all library.tree occurrences with button, just like so. So now we're going to be changing the title's text to the button's name, which is right here. And we're gonna go down here outside of the render. We're gonna script the logic. So again, a do end block, and right here we're gonna take the first frame because that's what holds everything, and you always want to make sure you put your logic handling in there unless you're like scripting like a different, like a smaller button such as the toggle. So yeah, we're gonna put this here, and we're gonna do dot input began. Basically the same thing as before, but it's a tiny bit different because we have a different state. Instead of active, we have mouse down. Now for actually not input began, it's mouse enter, and we don't need this, sorry. So yeah, we're gonna be setting the button.hover to true, and then if not button.mouse down, then so we're checking if we're not clicking or like holding the mouse button, because if we don't check, it's gonna be like overriding each other, and it's not gonna sell the hover and click effect properly. So in here we're gonna be changing the stroke color, so library queen button, what is the stroke? It's this right here, so 1F, and our goal is going to be color is equal to, and we're gonna take something darker, 62, yeah, from RGB. There we go. So now we're gonna continue here, and we're gonna add a mouse leave functionality when we hover off. When we're not hovering over the button, we're gonna do button.hover is equal to false. Sorry guys, I made a mistake. We're actually gonna be putting this in here like this, and the check is going to be in here. So imagine you're holding the button, it's going to like turn white or something just to indicate that you're like clicking it. And imagine you drag off, you still want it to stay white as long as you're clicking. And this is exactly what this is doing. So if we're not clicking our mouse, it's gonna reset the state, which is just changing the stroke color back to what it was. And yeah, this is gonna make a really good effect later on, as you will see. And then we're gonna do user input service dot input began, connect function, just like that. And we're gonna do if GPE return end, like that, and same thing as before. And then we're gonna be checking if input user input type is equal to mouse button 1 and button dot hover. So if we're hovering and we're clicking the mouse, we're gonna be weaning the button's background color, which is 1D, to something way brighter. Okay, so if you don't quite understand what I mean, it's just when we click, the button is gonna get like highlighted, so it looks like you're like clicking it. So this is all just designed to create effects and animations and stuff. So yeah, the original brightness is 27, so I'm just gonna make it something like 57. And I'm also going to be tweening the stroke to like almost white, just a really bright color. So there we go. We're also going to set the button's mouse down state to true, and we're gonna copy this, paste it in here, and set the state to false. Remove this check because we don't need it in here. So now we have two like things that could happen. We're either clicking it and then releasing it, like while our cursor is in the button. In that case, we want it to go into the hovering state, or we're clicking it and releasing it outside of the button, in which case we want it to like go back to the normal state. So right here, we're gonna do if button dot hover, then, so here is the hover state, else reset. So reset is going to be 27 background and 82 stroke. Okay, so 27 background and 82 stroke. So otherwise, if we're still hovering, it's going to go into the hover state, which is normal background and a slightly brighter stroke, which we have right here, just like so. So make sure that this is input ended. So once we release our mouse, all of this is going to happen. So I think it's time to test this right now. There we go. So the button is here, as you can see. You can see it's working as intended. So when we hover, the stroke changes. I probably messed up the color here. So for some reason I made it turn darker. So make sure you don't do that. Right here, I'm actually gonna make it 102. And also in here, 102. And we're gonna restart that. Okay, so here we have our UI. As you can see, the hover is working perfectly. Click, 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 drag off, release. Everything's working perfectly. There you go. So as you notice, nothing is happening in console. That's because we forgot our last step is when the button is clicked, we're gonna do options, I'll call back. That's all. So we're just calling the callback. And that's our button done. Now we can minimize these, the logic and the render. And below the render, we can add our methods. Now you can add any method that you want. I'm going to be adding two, which is setting the button's text and changing the callback. So we're going to do button function button set text, and we're going to be taking some text as a parameter, and we're going to do button, and then I believe it was 20 dot text is equal to text. I'm just gonna check. Okay, it's 20. Yeah, never mind. So button 20 dot text is equal to text, and another method for changing the callback, fn for function. There we go. So those are our methods, and just to demonstrate a use case, we're creating this button, and I'm gonna do button set callback function button set text I have been clicked I times. And we're gonna increment I by 1, and we're gonna do local I is equal to 0, 1, actually 0, yeah. And let's see if this works. So once we press this, I've been clicked 0 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there you go. So notice that you can communicate from your main script to inside the button's callback, which is really cool. The fact that we can use I in here is very helpful. So yeah, that's our button. I'm gonna do one more control, which is the label, because then we can just copy paste it to create these three. And then in the next episode, I'm gonna be covering the slider and the toggles, and if we have time, the drop down. So yeah, let's start making the labels. Our button is finished, so we can just minimize this like that, and we do function tab label. Now actually I'm gonna start with warning because that's first. So warning options, just like so. Again, copy the options. I have it in my clipboard. Windows plus V, by the way, right here. And the name, I actually want to check. Okay, preview button. Actually, just make sure you change the default settings, which I forgot. So here it's gonna be a preview warning. So it's just gonna be the name, or should I make it text, which is better, or message, even better. So right away, we're gonna copy, or actually we're gonna create a table called warning and return warning. Then we're gonna have a render block, and we're gonna go here to warning right there, copy everything that has to do with it, paste, rename some stuff, make this tab, rename library.tree to warning, bada bing bada boom, just like that. Change the text, whoops, the warning title, I left out the warning title for some reason. Replace it again. There we go. Change the text to options.text, options.message, and that's literally it. All we have to do, or all we can do now, is make some methods like function warning set text. Then we do, whoops, typo. And then we do options.message is equal to text, and also warning 27 dot text is equal to text. So that's the method. Yeah, in the button I forgot to change the name property, so make sure you don't forget that. Options.name is equal to text, so it's actually the text. I'm gonna leave it as name. I don't want to waste any time. Yeah, that's our warning class. Now there are some things that we have to consider. Is that imagine the message is longer than one line. What's gonna happen? Well, why don't we just test it out right away? So I'm gonna remove the tab. I'm gonna do tab warning, and we're gonna put the text or the message is equal to I am a warning, and then we're gonna create another one, but this one we're gonna make like super long just to see what happens. So let's hit play. Okay, interesting. There is no list layout in here, so let me just check if I forgot something. Oh, here's the list layout. So I forgot to put this in like all the way inside the container, which is like all the way up here. Here. Oh, okay, my bad, guys. So these, whoops, so these two are part of the home tab, which is just the tab template. So they actually go inside the tab, which I'm gonna do right now. So as you can see right here, I'm just gonna put that in, boom. UI padding, I already have that, but the list layout is now inside. So let's just try this again. So as you can see, we have the warnings. Now for some reason the icons and stuff aren't there. We're gonna check that later. But now, as you can see, the text just disappears. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna make sure that it sizes according to the text. Okay, but before we do that, I'm gonna check the render. So we have the warning, the corner, the title, but I forgot these three. I'm gonna take them right now. These four I already have, so I can delete them, and I'm just gonna put it in here and change library.tree with warning, just like so. And there we go. Let's try it one more time. Okay, so now it's actually displaying properly, but again, the text error, which we will cover right now. So in order to make it resize automatically, we're gonna have to create a method right here, and we're gonna call it warning underscore resize, or actually underscore update. Now, why an underscore? Well, this is just to show the end user to like not use this function, because it's gonna be used by the script. So you could make this a local function, just like without the warning, but I like to keep it inside, just out of practice. So inside the update, we're gonna be changing some things. We can actually put this in here, and we can call warning update from here, okay? And then this we do options.message. So next, we're gonna be updating the size of the actual frame. Now I just want to see what it looks like when it's resized, just to see if maybe we have to change something. So I will resize this, and as you can see, the icon is placed nicely. but the text is not. So this would have to be at the top, and it would have to be text wrapped. So we're gonna have to change these two settings on the title. So text wrapped and text Y alignment. So in the title, we're gonna do warning 27 text wrapped is equal to true, and warning 27 text Y alignment is equal to enum dot alignment text Y alignment dot top. So now that we've done this, we're gonna be able to resize this properly. Now if I change the size back and also change this back, as you can see, it looks perfectly fine. So inside of the update function, what we're going to do, we're going to take the title right here, and we're going to calculate the needed size. And how do we do this? We set the size to udim to new, and we take the current size dot x dot scale, current size dot x dot offset. So we're not changing the x size, but we're going to change the y size to 0 on scale and math.huge on the offset. Now what this is going to do is it's going to give the text enough room to like be displayed, and now instantly we're going to change the size back. Instead of math.huge, we take warning 27, which is the text dot text bounds dot y. So this is going to allow it to automatically resize. And right here, before we return it, we're going to call the update function. So we're going to test it out. So the text size actually changed, which is not what we wanted. We actually want the main holder to change. So we're going to change the second line to be like this. So we're keeping the old x size and we're taking the text bounds.y size plus, we're going to need to calculate. So the text is 14 pixels and the whole thing is 26. So 26 minus 14 is 12. So this should account for the size. Okay, so as you can see, something went wrong, and if you could tell, the size of this is actually good, but we forgot to change the actual size of the text back to what it actually needs. So we're gonna quickly do that just by copying this and putting this in without the 12, and that should be it. So there you go. As you can see, automatic sizing for the text works perfectly. Just to test the method of set text, I'm gonna be removing this. I'm gonna be removing this line, and I'm gonna do local warning is equal to this, and then we're gonna change the text to something different. So we're gonna make it something really long, and we're gonna copy paste this. And I'm also gonna create a button, and I'm gonna set the callback to be function, and then this set text thing, just so we can see the live changes. And we're gonna test it right now. So as you can see, we have our warning and we have our button, and as soon as I press this, the size changes accordingly. So this is working perfectly. Now what we're also going to do, or I am going to do, just because of taste, I'm gonna tween all of these. I'm just gonna test it real quick. So once I press this button, it should kind of animate, and there we go. So that's the warning. And for the label and the info, which we have right here, for these two, you can just copy paste the warning code and just change the names. So all you have to do is change this, 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 and then all of these that just correspond to it. And yeah, so that would cover this episode. So we made the button and we made the text parts. As I said, in the next episode, we're gonna be tackling the slider and the drop down and the toggles. I know it can be boring sometimes to like watch me constantly fix bugs and test, but that's just the process, and I'm not gonna cut those things out because it's important that you see what I'm changing, just in case if you're like following along. And yeah, so I'll see you in the next episode, and make sure to join my Discord and subscribe, and goodbye.